if you think about the situation that we're in with GPT-4 and Chat GPT and AI in
Hmm.
general, um, it it puts the course in kind of a unique spot because there are a lot of people worried about what's going to happen and the possibility of a bad outcome. There's very little attention being given to the possible very good outcome. You can call that Star Trek future or utopian future. And you may be aware that there's an article about me saying, "Where are the AI utopians? You know, how come only Kim Soles is talking about this?" Well, that's not quite true, of course. Sam Altman talks about it. People who really have something to sell, like the CEO of OpenAI, talk a lot about the very positive outcome that could come, but they also have to balance that off by saying, if it goes the other way, it could be very bad and lights out and so on. So, in a way, taking the course has become more consequential because we kind of represent this minority opinion
Hmm.
that working cooperatively with AI could turn out very well, that a lot of the problems of the world for humans that humans can't solve, AI could solve. So,
Hmm.
like you could wake up in the morning and look out the window and suddenly everything's green and pollution is gone and the levels of the ocean have come down and if two male humans start to fight, it's just sort of naturally wound down by some unseen force separating them. Now, boys, you can't do that. And all the problems we can't that humans themselves don't seem to be able to solve in the present era could be solved working cooperatively with AI with this much smarter intellect that even understands human happiness better than humans do could make everything really very positive for the future and for the whole planet. It could not only
Yes.
benefit human beings but every living thing. And if you think about the
Yeah.
idea of an AGI utopia, artificial general intelligence utopia, one of the problems purely in the human sphere is that human beings would not agree on what the characteristics of that ideal state would be.
Yes.
And no human could figure out how to uh, find a kind of middle ground that would satisfy the wishes and aspirations of most human beings. But I think AI could figure that out.
Yes.
And so that is quite quite exciting. So, and I think also you sense that the pace of change is a lot faster now. So you might say, predictably, the situation with humans and AI at the start of the course, like in September 2023, will be different than it is when you're finishing the course in early December 2023. Even in those few months,
Yeah.
new AI resources will be identified. There'll be new things that AI is able to do in early December that wasn't able to do in September, and so on. So in that way, the course becomes kind of a metaphor for life itself, right?
Hmm.
And you feel kind of uniquely empowered both to survive whatever comes in the future because you know a bit more about what some of the scenarios and possibilities are, but also to move things to help move the needle a little bit toward a positive future. Now, what if we're wrong? Even if we're wrong, even if the apocalyptic future is what we're actually going to end up on, it's still good to push for the positive future, because if that's possible, it'd be nice to try to make it more likely as
Absolutely
the outcome, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one way to think about the course, that it has a larger purpose than it used to in the past for that reason. And I think that it's also interesting to think of how can we differentiate what we're doing, and it's kind of cool some of the things that we are doing. For instance, we're creating a time capsule. It was an idea initiated by the students who took the course in winter term of 2023. But they designed it as a 2.5 year project that will finish in 2025. So you guys who take it in fall 2023 will also be a part of it, as will both of the classes in 2024 and the first class in 2025. So all 5 of those classes will presumably contribute to both what's in the time capsule and the idea of exactly how we're going to handle this, and what's the purpose of the time capsule? What are we trying to do with this? The idea is it would be maintained for 20 years. You know that 2045 had been regarded as the date of the technological singularity. Now it looks like it may be sooner, but it would still be interesting to know what life is like in 2025 and how it's different from life in 2023, 2024, and 2025. So, and I'm sure that won't be the only unique thing that we're doing in the course. You guys, you and your colleagues taking it in the fall may think of other things, to kind of uniquely contribute to humanity's considering where we're going and how to make the ultimate outcome as positive as it can possibly be. Yeah, so that's one way to think of it. And therefore, like in the past, when I interviewed students, I talked about the 2 kinds of students who take the course: the students who take it and it's just another course, and that's fine. They take it and then there are off to other things. But there's some students that get hooked and want to keep doing stuff with the course, and so they become TAs, teaching assistants for the course, and help us in other ways. And some of them stay there for quite a long time, helping me with the course and the other associated things. And that includes a lot of spin-off entities, for instance, the Future and All That Jazz, which is taking important but maybe uncomfortable areas of science that people might not sit still for a lecture on, and putting them in poetry and music and sort of tricking people into learning those things by having a fun evening and entertaining them with the ideas. Also, there's international peer review of the lectures, so we're constantly soliciting outside views of how the course functions and what subjects we should talk about. It's recently been suggested that maybe some of the AI teaching sessions are a little bit too conventional, that we should be a bit more innovative with some of the five AI lectures, and also that maybe the quantum uh, biology part of the course could be improved. So we're constantly kind of re-examining ourselves and morphing and changing, because the course about the future can't be static, right? It has to like keep up with the times, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I I would argue that it's potentially more impactful for the student to take the course now than it used to be in the past, because in a sense there's more at stake. I think a lot of young people today feel quite uncertain about the future, and particularly about the fact that whatever it was they wanted to do in life, maybe Chat GPT and its successors can do it better already. So where does that leave them if the AI can write better than you can write, draw better than you can draw, and think big thoughts better than you can think big thoughts? It's like, holy smokes,
Yeah.
yeah. But on the other hand, maybe that's much better. You thought you would have a dreary life of being employed at something you don't really like, but you have to go to work every day because otherwise you can't really survive. You wouldn't have any money, so maybe that won't be the case. That you'll have uniform basic income, and so you'll be compensated even if you don't work. And whatever you would really like to do with your time can be what you do, rather than just working at a job where you're watching the clock and you hate what you're doing, and your real enjoyable life is outside of work. Interestingly, I have never felt like that. I mean, my whole life I've enjoyed my work as much as the rest of the day. And so if you watch me, it's very hard to tell whether I'm working or not, because I sort of look the same throughout. And I think maybe that's a pretty good future to think about. It is guaranteeing that the way you spend your days would be something that you truly enjoy, and that it brings, a sense of fulfillment and reaching the part of Maslow's pyramid of needs that you want to reach, and so on. Yeah.
Yes. There's a saying, I think, that goes something like, if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I feel like that's very true.
Yeah.
Like for me, I've done, like research conferences in the past, and I'm very like invested in like the realm of academia. Like I love research and like learning, and like that doesn't feel like work to me. Like obviously I don't really get paid yet to like, research, but
right.
If I would be able to, land a career in academia, like that is the ideal. I would love to do that.
Right. So I should tell you some other things. Something interesting. I was away the past 5 days, and something kind of cool happened at the hospital. When I left, everybody around me was wearing masks, and now they're not. So it seems like we're getting back into sort of regular life. And so it depends upon how much into organized entertainment you are inclined. But in the past, there's been a student group or club for the course, and we used it to plan social events, and for instance, some of the final presentations, rather than being in a regular class period, could be part of a fun social event where we mix it with poetry, music. We've had a street performer who performs with a bullwhip and stuff. It sounds like it would work in the university setting, but it kind of does. And yeah, so there, and I think the classes vary a lot. Sometimes we end up with a lot of students with, uh, you know, they they have kids and you know, a lot of things they're trying to keep going outside. So the idea of doing things that obligate them outside regular class period doesn't make sense. And other times that isn't the case. You can have a group of students who are very keen on doing, you know, events. And the thing about having a university club or organization group related to the course is it would have a budget. That's how you sort of define whether it exists or not. And so it would raise money and we could use that money to support the social events. That doesn't have to happen, but has been a very interesting part of the course in the past. And there are probably a zillion other things you could think of that might be fun to do with the students that you discover in the course who are sort of like-minded like you and are interested in long-range future of the human race and you know how it's going to be when we're working cooperatively with an AI that's way smarter than we are, but still dedicated toward making the lives of humans the best they could possibly be and making everything on the planet the best it could be. Yeah. So do you have other questions about the course?
I'm just kind of wondering, like the grading scale. Like you said that it's a mix of like undergraduate and graduate students. So like, what is that like?
Yeah.
Is it
So I guess what commonly happens, and it's kind of amusing to think about, since the undergraduates have to be interviewed, like it's happening to you right now, and the graduate students don't. Think of a generic
okay?
graduate student at the U of A, nothing special. This person we're postulating exists is just absolutely generic, like the average of everything, right? Average abilities, average interests, so on. And they just, you know, without really thinking about it, sign up for the course. They show up the first day and see these charismatic, outgoing undergraduates and think, I could never compete with that. Remove themselves from the course, and that never comes back. So sometimes that happens. So it isn't that you should worry about the graduate students. It's really the other way around, that they should worry about you. Your charisma and energy may be much higher than theirs, and they're scared to death when they meet you because they thought it was going to be a really easy course, and they meet the competition and think, oh my God, I could never. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, so it isn't too hard for you. In a sense, it is made for people like you. It's always been undergrads who are the main people taking the course, and with
Okay.
all different backgrounds. They're not all in the sciences. They can be um, in the arts, you know, engineering, you know, all sorts of things. Nursing, really any background works as long as you're a little bit interested in the future of medicine, because obviously that's in the title of the course.
Yeah.
So how many of the lectures, so there are 23 lectures in the course, and 5 of them contain medical terms. So they're not impossible to understand if you don't know medicine, but they're a little bit easier if you do. But none of the grading in the course depends upon your knowledge of medicine. So everybody is sort of graded the same. It's really the innovations, the new ideas, the MacGyver like thoughts that you may have about, wow, this interesting situation we're in, and with AI, how are we going to get ourselves into a positive circumstance long term, when AI seems to outwit and outsmart us at every turn, Yeah. So yeah, it isn't something where you'd feel that you're over your head, or that the science is just overwhelming. That isn't the case. Like, and in quantum biology, um, there is no need to memorize formulas or to ever calculate anything during an exam. So it's not like taking physics. If you were taking quantum physics, that might be beyond you. But quantum biology, the part of the course, is sort of it's structured so that we're just testing the kind of big picture there, and not the details of your knowledge of formulas and how to make them work and so on. Yeah. So anyway, that's the.
So are the like grades just based on the presentation and the paper, or do you have like quizzes or anything?
So there is yeah, so there's a midterm exam, which may be toward the end of the course, so it doesn't really seem like a midterm, but anyway, yeah. So class participation counts 10%, the midterm counts 20%, the final presentation is 30%, and the final paper is 40%. So that's what makes up to 100%. But the question you could have asked, what do you mean class participation? Because aren't there some people maybe who are taking it face to face and others taking it by Zoom and so on? How can you possibly give a class participation grade? Well, we have little side projects for you, easy to complete, but that are sort of a logical extension of the lectures and what we're teaching. And there are like 13, 14 of those little tiny side projects. You only have to do 5 of them. And that's where the class participation grade comes from. And if everybody does everything, they all get full marks for that 10% of their grade. Yeah, so that's how it works. So what happens if somebody decides to coast, to basically take the course and not do anything? They might still pass. Why would that be that they'd still pass? Well, the other students are so exciting and charismatic to listen to. You kind of get sucked into learning stuff, even if your intention is to just sit there and not learn a thing. So if you just coast, you might get a C plus or a C. We have had some students like that, but not for many years, actually. Then there's another kind of student that I didn't really know about when I first came here, but there are such students who are here for the experience of taking the most interesting courses. And they don't care about getting A's. They're perfectly happy with getting B's. B's are a good grade for them. That's sort of their grade. It's what they usually get. And B is a person perfectly good grade. So sometimes we're in the funny circumstance of the student who gets the lowest grade in the class, let's say a B or a, B minus, who ends up deciding to be a TA and help me in future years because they've enjoyed it so much. And so on. Yeah. So, but we also have very high performing students sometimes who want me to take down their final presentation video because their personal trajectory of getting better and better and better as a kind of superhuman student. They don't want people to know that they were at this level before because now they're at that level, and yeah, that's also kind of fun. But yeah, so there's the complete mix, and I think the students will likely include people who are both less capable than you are and more. So you might end up sort of in the middle. But yeah. So that's my feeling about it. And you don't have to be afraid of the graduate students. The ones who stay are as enthusiastic about the subject matter as you are. And the ones who don't stay, that are frightened to death by your enthusiasm and big ideas and don't think they could ever. I mean, that's also sort of fun for you to look the people over the first day,
Yeah.
see if you think they're going to stick around or run screaming, saying, "Oh, those undergraduates are so gleaming and charismatic. I can never be like that." Yeah, yeah. So anyway, that's. So, do you have other questions about the course?
I don't think so. I just wanted to ask, like, the presentations, I guess they don't need to, do they need to necessarily be like about the medical field
No,
or
no,
no?
no, not at all. Um, because after all, medicine, you'll learn about medicine writ large, which is sort of like medicine plus social work. Maybe the physician is the natural attorney of the poor and all that kind of thing, bringing together the holistic idea of the the environment in which the individual lives having a
Mm-hmm.
big impact on whether they're sick or well. And yeah, so for instance, there have been 3 students who have done the future of war. I think that's a very tough subject because it's very, very unpleasant. But one student talked about the future of war, and there's also the shy student provision. So I should tell you about that. And you can use that even if you're not really shy. You can still say, well, I want to use this. So rather than giving the final presentation live, the shy student has the opportunity to do a separate video, like a 20-minute video, and then present the video to the class and then answer questions afterwards live. So this one student doing the future of war went to a children's playground with his cute little kids playing there on a windy day and without any wind protection for the microphone. So talking about the horrible things about war and these cute little kids playing around and wind coming up, whooshing in microphone. It was just awesome. And really, all these things are a part of life. At least now, I mean, we may end up in a world without war, in
Mm-hmm.
the future. I can imagine that could be the case.
Why not?
Yeah, yeah. And but Sure. I think you'll find that with medicine writ large, the social responsibility of medicine, then virtually anything you might be interested in fits with the course, I think. So yeah, that's
Well, that's easier for me then.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's right. So, do you have any other questions? So, basically, you take this course and you help us save the world, right? So that's how it works. Yeah, and maybe
Yeah.
we'll succeed. I mean, one thing would be if what goes on in the course moves the needle more toward a utopian or positive outcome or a Star Trek future, then wouldn't that be good? So that's kind of what we're aiming for. And yeah, so anyway.
Okay.
So now having talked to me, are you now really nervous about the course and don't want to take it anymore, or are you more enthusiastic about it now?
I think I'm more interested in it now.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
after you like kind of described what it was about, yeah, I was a little nervous before you were explaining that, because it is a graduate level class, but I
Right,
suppose there really isn't that much difference between undergraduate and graduate levels in terms of like age, perhaps, especially if you're on the like higher end of undergrad. There's like not very much, an age gap there. Um, yeah, like I'm obviously expecting to do more work because it is like a graduate class and you should, you know, like go more in detail. However, I do think that the material is very interesting. um yeah.
yeah. Well, I think a lot of people get hooked, and so it's not that they're working hard because they think they need to work hard, but they
Yeah.
can't help it.
Yeah.
And maybe what they work on in this class will be a little slice of what they work on for the rest of their lives.
Hmm.
That is sort of the start of something very big that
Absolutely.
yeah,
And especially if you're passionate about something, like you just want to keep, you know doing it, and
sure.
it's almost like drugs in the best way
Yeah,
possible. you
yeah,
know like it's addictive, really, when you are so invested in like research, and then you just keep like learning more about it and keeping up to date with the like latest research and data, and then you
right,
finally figure out like the answer to your research question. There is
right,
nothing better than
right.
that.
I will tell you one other thing that previous sociology students taking the course, some of them were extremely loquacious. I mean, they were just more talkative
Yes.
than the other students. That's kind of a thing in that field. And that is okay. But certainly you're not being graded by the number of words or the number of words per minute or anything. So I assured the other students that they don't have to feel that they're completely outgunned by the sociology student who can make such long statements and keep talking forever and so on. Yeah. So we've had that experience before. As a matter of fact, one time in the first day, everybody sent me on chat the fact that they could never compete with this one person. I said, no, you can. It's not at all dependent upon the number of words that you're producing or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So anyway, that's the deal. So yeah, I mean, we do go out of the way to benefit the shy student, also the person who is not as outgoing as you are, so that they would be able to profit from the course just as much as you. Okay, well
Absolutely.
then, I will tell the people who coordinate this that they should add you to the course roster, and I will see you. Um, So do you mind if I use your name in the YouTube description for the video? Is that okay? Or are you in the witness relocation program where you're hiding out? And yeah, what are your thoughts?
I wish I was, but yeah, that's okay. You can
Okay.
use my name. That's fine.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thanks for meeting with me, and I'll see you in the class in September. Okay,
Absolutely.
great.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Okay, you bet. Bye bye now.